Oh, Ben. I'm
to
not
the cool
welcoming
show.
the possible viewers or listeners. I'm welcoming you.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel welcome. Do you have a couch now for your guests? It's great.
We need a late night talk show set up, but with a couch, but then like the Conan O'Brien desk on each side, so we each get a desk. So, like
It's like competing. We have our
yeah.
guests in like a sandwich between us. Like,
So they're
no,
constantly
don't look at him. I'm asking for the
right.
question.
I like it. That's a great
Uh,
idea.
yeah,
CBS better not be listening because they're the kind of jerks that would steal. I don't know why I picked out CBS. That was just the first network to come to mind.
they
But
did you ever see like Colin Cowherd, the sport guy?
yes, I hate Colin Cowherd.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Not an uncommon opinion about him, but Bill Burr was on his show and was like talking about because he does this fucked up thing where he gives like the guests have to sit on a couch, but then his desk is like elevated above him, so like he's like got his own little
yeah,
radio setup,
that
but
sounds
he's like looking
Colin
down.
Cowherd-ish to me. Yeah, yeah.
And Bill Burr's like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, I have to crank my neck to like talk to you. It was a pretty great clip.
Uh, but that's I call him a jerk for stuff like that, and that's exactly what I'd want to do if we have a show.
I mean, I don't like the way he talked about it. He's like, I don't know, I didn't build the fucking studio, but
Well, yeah.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. But it's hilarious that anyone would think, hey, we're gonna do a talk show. You know what a great way to like develop a rapport with your guests? Be 10 feet taller than them.
Well, again, they're probably trying to emulate Conan, who is just physically 10 feet tall. Like,
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Like you get on Conan's show and you before he says anything, all you hear is like his voice in your head echoing "obey."
I would be so intimidated on that show because he's like 8 feet tall, and I'm like 4 feet tall, and
7 feet tall. Another foot's the hair, but
well, right. But anyway,
and he wears lifts. I have it on good authority.
He's interesting though, because like I never really found out he was tall until I don't want to say like recently, but I'd watched him for years. He doesn't come across
in a
as
really tall chair.
He doesn't come across as a particular. He's like proportion because he's got such a huge freaking head.
What does a tall person come across to you as though?
Normally
like
they're like
fucking arms out to here like
Yes.
Popeye.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
Well, me big, you on my show.
They usually start every sentence with "I'm tall. How are you doing today?" "I'm tall. What do you want for
I'm
dinner?"
Quite tall. Yeah, that's how I would like if I was tall. That's how I would always respond to people. Like, how's it going? Well, quite tall. How are you?
Yeah. "What do you want for dinner?" "Well, I'm pretty tall, so we could go anywhere, really."
I'm up for anything as long as they allow tall people.
So, video games. You been playing anything new, interesting?
I played some stuff, but nothing's really stuck. Like, I've kind of just been
Bouncing.
a little bit. I just haven't really felt like playing anything.
Yes, I get in those moods quite often, honestly.
I was in that stretch with Overwatch, and then like I've really sort of pinpointed like the thing that kicks me off that game harder than anything is when they do those drastic character overhaul patches, which are like the one that just came out. And we talked about that on a couple shows now. A few of the Overwatch streams, we talked about the Roadhog changes and all that stuff. But really, it's just, and it's not even so much the changes because, like, I don't really play those characters that got changed anyway, so it doesn't affect me. But there's something about like, you're feeling like you're understanding that game and you're getting better at it, and you're getting better at not just how to play your character, but how the other characters work. And then they do these like drastic things that completely overhaul how that character plays. Like Roadhog, he can't flank anymore. Like I saw some people playing as him since the patch, and like people are getting more use out of him than maybe it was getting credit for during the PTR stuff. But it's a really awkward kind of like, now you're just kind of a fat reaper who has to stick with the crowd, and and try to pick people off in like the middle of like a hectic gunfight when health is already down.
Well, then they need to like introduce a patch where he goes on Weight Watchers and gets skinny, because the problem is, as Roadhog, you're automatically like, they turn the corner, it's like, shoot that guy because he's big and fat and he's dangerous.
Yeah, you're the biggest target if you stay with your team. So it's fucked up. I don't agree with the changes, but outside of that, it's just like, and it was like this when they were changing up fucking Diva and changing up Soldier and, you know, changing up Fair. Every time they do these major changes, it just feels like it undoes a lot of progress I make in that game to like just being a better player. Not even like climbing rank, because I don't give a shit about that. I'm pretty sure I'll be gold for life. But just like my overall knowledge of the game, it's like it always takes like 2 steps back every time they do that update, and it just sort of like, well, then why am I even fucking playing it if like in a year from now it's going to be a completely different game?
Right.
You know, and it's that tightrope they have to walk, where they have to keep things updated and they're trying to keep everything balanced, but they're also trying to put out new content for it. So it's just this impossible task to keep everybody happy, but it also means I get burnout a lot quicker than I did when I started playing that game. So since then, I started playing Mark of the Ninja a little bit.
Oh, that's a great game.
It is. Like I played it. I just did like the first mission, and it's a cool game. It's well animated and stuff, but it wasn't what I really wanted to play right now. Like, because it has like those optional objectives for each mission, and I'm such a like completionist OCD fucking moron that like when it tells you do this thing in a minute, like I get upset at myself if I don't do it the first time. And it was stress that I was creating in my own head, but it was just like, I don't want to do this because I don't want to leave those things undone, but I don't want to like redo things to like do everything perfectly. So it's like just this fucked up pressure I put on myself. So I only played it like one night, and it seems good. I'll go back to it eventually. I've had it on my Steam library forever. And then I played a little Sleeping Dogs.
I love that game. It's got its issues like any of those open world games, but I just loved the setting and everything. I hate all the driving you have to do.
Yes. And I'm with you. I like the setting. I liked the story from what I've played of it so far. That's another game that like I'm sure I'll go back to at a certain point. I really don't like the fighting. I think it's a really kind of lazy, sloppy sort of Arkham combat that just like, that fighting style, those types of fighting games are a dime a dozen now.
Well, and that's I'm curious if I'd feel the same, because at the time the game's like 5 years old now.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the first Arkham. It's obviously modeled after that, like Arkham kind of Assassin's Creed-y, like melee combat, but it wasn't. It didn't feel overused yet.
Even Assassin's Creed is like a sloppy Arkham game. Like, you know, like Arkham, at least like every button press was tight. You know, like Sleeping Dogs is a lot looser and it's less satisfying for it. But the best part is like the environmental stuff when you grab a guy and fucking wing him into a window or some shit.
Yeah, like, you stick his head into an air conditioning unit.
Yeah, when you slam him on a desk and then drop the desk slider on him, that's like one of the best moves in any game. But it's just the shit leading up to that where it's like when I finally I put a few hours into it, and when I finally died in a fight, I was just like, fuck this. Like, because it didn't feel like I was like ever in any real danger, because it was just the type of shit where it's like, oh, I missed that counter, so they punched me once. But you don't really have that like connection to your health when that happens. Like, it doesn't, because you're doing such devastating things to these guys,
like
and they
snapping
pop right
their like
back
kneecaps
up.
and stuff. And
So when they just punch you, it's like, oh, the AI is just stupid. Like, but it's like, no, they're actually fucking you up. It just doesn't represent that because everything you do is so brutal.
Yeah.
Like, it's not horrible, but it's just I was already getting kind of burnout on that, And then the driving is like, the driving itself isn't that bad. It's kind of got the Arkham Knight problem of just like the environment is just too cluttered.
Yeah.
To drive.
It's just I've played much worse, but it just wasn't fun, and they force it down your throat a lot.
Yeah, Arkham Knight's driving is way worse, but it's the same idea of like Gotham streets are just too narrow, and like it's just not a fun place to drive. Like the cars are just loose enough that you're hitting shit. And this game is kind of weird because it seemed like every fucking turn I make there was just a random stack of tires in the middle of the road.
Yeah, that's not where you keep your tires.
And then like when you hit them, it's not Burnout where you just like blast through shit that's like weaker than your car. Like your car responds and reacts to goddamn everything. So
that's there's a bunch of like racing mini games, and I skipped all of them because
I got frustrated after like the first like car mission I did, where it was like, it's not a race, but you had to like wreck the cars that were street racing. It's like a cop mission. And that was so fucking tedious and such bullshit because like I hit the final car probably like 10 times, but I didn't do it in the way the game wanted me to, where it's like you have to like double tap everything to like officially neutralize them. So I hit it like 10 times and then like it completed the race somehow, and it was just fucking bullshit.
And I like that it's like, oh, the street racers completed the race, the cops you lose. It's like, I think I can still arrest them. Like,
yeah. And I think that's the thing about Sleeping Dogs is like outside of its story and stuff, like it feels like this amalgamation of game ideas that were done better in those respective games, like ramming cars, destroying cars in the races and stuff. All that shit was done better in Burnout. The combat, all that shit was done better in the Arkham games, except Knight, which is terrible, and I will
in
go
every
to my
respect.
grave.
Yeah. That'll be your tombstone. Here lies Ben. Arkham Knight sucked.
Dude, I was just a couple of weeks ago, I was just on my PS4 just going through like my hard drive, like what the hell do I have all on here? And I realized I saved clips from Arkham Knight, well, almost as if to remind myself never to play that game again, because it's just a clip of like me jumping off a roof as Batman and then like just falling through the floor of the earth, and it's
like those movies where people leave messages for their future selves, like
yeah. It really felt like that, where it was like, Ben, don't ever do that to yourself again. Yeah, and I remember that was really fucked up. I talked about it at the time, but like reloading a save didn't fix it, because the save was right where I started falling through the floor.
Yeah, that's always fun.
So I don't remember how I even got out of it. I think I was like able to like find like a previous autosave or something on my hard drive or some shit, but it was fucked up. But yeah, Sleeping Dogs doesn't seem bad necessarily. It just seems like it hasn't aged so well, and like it's just it's just sloppier versions all sort of crammed into one game of other games I've enjoyed more. So I bounced off that pretty quick. And beyond that, I haven't really played anything. I just kind of float at this point and sort of wait until something like piques my interest. But I also played Dirt Showdown a little bit, and that seemed bad.
Yeah, like two pieces of dirt fighting doesn't seem to have much appeal. That's is it a rally car, or does it have like BMX and stuff too? Or
it's a rally car. Yeah. But it's kind of that thing where it's like, all right, for what this game is, like the cars control with a lot of weight and stuff. Like, yeah, and I kind of expected it. That's what I heard about the Dirt series. And I think I got this just like on a Humble Bundle freebie. So like it's not bad, but there wasn't a lot of the earlier events. And then I got to like the trick event, where it's like, and it's one of those games where it's like, you have to go from A to B, and there's like a series of tricks you have to do along the way. And if you don't execute a trick, you lose points. But it's one of those games where it's like, hey, do a drift. All right, how? And it's like, well, you just drift. Okay. Do I
Well,
is
they
it
mean
like
while
Mario
you're
Kart,
playing,
or?
just kind of like your body drift around the room, like la la la.
Yeah, no, my mind's drifting playing this shit. But it's like, it's just like, it shows you like an icon on the screen, but I don't know what the fuck that icon's supposed to be. You know, like it's like a meter, and sometimes it hooks to the left and sometimes it hooks to the right, and I'll like hold the handbrake button and like try to turn in both directions because I don't know what the fuck the meter means. and it's just, yeah, like I don't understand it. Like, and drifting should be one of the easiest things to do in any racing game, I think. Like, beyond just driving, that should be like the first thing you kind of learn naturally. And in this, I played this event like 10 times and I just couldn't figure out, because it's not just like drift a turn. Like, because I could kind of do that, but it was one of those things where it's like, I don't know how I'm actually doing it, but I keep pulling it off. So, you know, whatever, just wiggling the analog stick seems to work. But then it gets really specific and it's like drift around this pole. So, you know, you do a full circle drift around it. And it's like, you have to complete the drift to get any points for it. Like, you have to do the whole fucking thing, but I don't know how to do it. So it was just like, it was one of those things where it's like, you know, one bad mode, and I'm just like, fuck all of this, and just deleted the game from my library. Just like,
so that went well. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was fucking bullshit. But yeah, other than that, just kind of kicking here.
Very, very interesting. Now we're not really. I'll be curious to see what you think of Sleeping Dog, because I think the mechanical stuff that you're talking about probably doesn't improve. Combat gets a little better as you like unlock more moves and stuff from the dojo or whatever. I forget exactly how it works. It's been a while, but it gets a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, it's never going to all of a sudden become Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
But the story is pretty cool, and there's some really interesting characters along the way too. I broke my own like rule that I was going to try to like actually beat some stuff before I bought new stuff, but there was GOG had a pretty good sale going on, and of course anytime something's on sale on GOG, it's like not 100%, but it's usually also on the course same sale on Steam.
Yeah.
Like Steam seemed to be kind of like Dixon. I don't know how that works, but it's like, oh, this other platform's trying to get attention, but we're going to sell it for the same price. But anyway, Tyranny. It's a isometric RPG, kind of like I guess early, like Baldur's Gate or Path of Exile or Pillars of Eternity. I think both of those.
Yeah.
You know, there's overhead RPG, and I've been in the mood for that. I almost went in and restarted for like the millionth time playing Divinity Original Sin. That's a really, really good one, but I've just never. I mean, those games are so long and involved usually. And then, so when Tyranny came up on sale, I was like, well, okay, I'm going to grab this because it seems like it's what I'm in the mood for, and it seems like an interesting take. It's a very, very interesting take. I don't know if you've read much about it or if you're familiar with it at all. But you play, I forget what they call it now, like basically you're on the side of an empire that just invaded another empire, like successfully. You just took over. Yeah. But you're the one that's one of your positions tasked with like upholding the rulers, like the laws, and like squelching rebellions and that kind of stuff. But basically you're like a judge, jury, and executioner. But it puts it's at such a unique angle because you're playing on theoretically the bad side, and they do a very good job. Like any time in history that you take over and invade a land, you're going to be the bad guys, but it's not as clear as just like, oh, this land was all in peace and prosperous, and this evil like wizard came in and slayed everybody and took over. And it's like, yeah, you killed a bunch of people and took over, but like the idea is now it's part of your kingdom and you want to unify, because prior to that there was multiple kingdoms that were also warring with each other. So you're not like just this blanket bad side. You are, because you're the invaders, but it allows me to, we've talked about before, anytime I play these games that have like moral choices, even if I tell myself I want to be like, I'm going to play evil this time, I just have such a hard time, like, when it comes up picking the obviously evil choice. All the things that come up, they're pretty good about not having just like a blanket, like, oh, kick the baby in the face or give this person a bunch of money. You know, it's not black and white, evil and good, but there's still a way to play where you feel like you're doing the right thing, even though it might be evil. Like, it's hard to explain, but it's such a cool perspective for a game like this. And then the game itself is pretty interesting. It's hard. I suck at these type of games, and then to add to it, I'm used to something like Divinity where you can roam around in real time, and then as soon as you like get close and engage in combat, everything pauses and it's turn-based. This, you can pause the action, but everything's real time, but you still have like ability cooldown, so that it's that like hybrid real-time turn-based combat, and it's just, it's kind of a lot to manage when you suck at this stuff like I do. But it's fun. It's a challenging game. It's a good game. The art design is really cool. The characters themselves, you know, when you're overhead, it's harder to notice it because you're kind of zoomed out. But the characters have this almost Star Wars, is it Clone Wars or Attack of the Clone? The CG, the animated one that's on like Cartoon Network.
The Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. Yeah, kind of that like real sculpted, like edged, stylized look to them, and I like it. Of course, it's got plenty of loot and character progression and leveling. But mostly the thing that impresses me the most is that story perspective, where they did such a good job with the writing. It's kind of comedy, it's kind of not, and there's just no, like, there's the moral, like, still compass still plays into it, but you're playing from an unusual side. I don't think I've ever played an RPG where you're on like the bad guy side. Without it being like overtly, what's the one, like Overlord or something, where it's just like over the top, like, yeah, you're just a super villain. You know, I've played that before, but it's really cool. So if you like isometric RPGs, I would recommend that. I did sit down a couple days ago and fire up What Remains of Edith Finch. That game is fantastic. Now, it's if you want to call it a walking simulator. I use that term without meaning to be like negative or biased, because I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing.
Don't lie. You mean it with all the hate in your heart.
Yeah, fucking walking simulator. That's what my review of the new
simulator.
Wolfenstein: A New Order was. This is just a fucking walking simulator with guns and jumping and stuff. But
a bunch of bullshit.
But it's really cool. It plays out very similar to The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, where you have this overarching story and a mystery that you're trying to, or just this narrative really that you're trying to play through. But each little individual part is a completely different stylized, like, fantasy-like story. It's not really fantasy. It's very surreal, but they're really cool. I like it better than Ethan Carter. It's a lot more focused. Everything takes place in this like house and the immediately surrounding area, so it doesn't have that. I know you were kind of complaining and talking about, and I got a little frustrated with it, having Ethan Carter having to walk all over the damn place. Sometimes things weren't very close, and there was just a lot of walking. This, everything's chained together pretty well. I mean, there's still some walking, and if there's a way to run, I couldn't remember. I could have sworn in the very beginning in the tutorial, it's like, oh, push this button to run. But then I played like the first time and played through the first little vignette, and then I didn't play it for like a month and a half or 2 months. And then when I got back, I couldn't figure out how to run. Maybe you can't. I tried looking it up, but everything, when you look up like controls on an indie game, it's just like, this game controls like an indie game. It's like, oh, fuck, yeah.
You're not helping.
That doesn't answer my question. So there were some parts where you're walking painfully slow, but everything's cool, and there's a lot of stuff to find. It's a short game. I completed the story in an hour and like 50 minutes, so just under 2 hours. But then I got done and got back out to Steam, and I noticed I have like 2 out of like 20 achievements. So there's a bunch of, and then you could read through some of them, and you're like, oh, yeah, I could have done that, but like, it really rewards you for playing and interacting with the world, and not stuff, at least the ones that I could tell from the achievements that aren't hidden. It's not necessarily like tedious stuff like, oh, walk around and find every candle holder in the house. It wasn't stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, like, Go on.
I say it's a game that I would love to share, would love to stream, but you can't possibly do that without 100% spoilers because it's a story-driven game. But if you like those kind of games, if you liked Ethan Carter, I would definitely recommend Edith Finch.
Yeah, I was excited for Edith Finch even before finishing Ethan Carter. And then after I finished Ethan Carter, I was actually able to play through it without getting sick. Then I was like really like, because like I was kind of like you where it was like I'm not outright dismissive of walking simulator games, but the ones I've played I haven't enjoyed that much, like Firewatch and stuff like that.
Right.
So Ethan Carter was kind of the first one where I was like, oh, this is like it has its problems, and I talked about it, when I beat it, but it's kind of novel. Like it's interesting what types of stories you can tell within that framework. And Edith Finch looked like another step forward in that same vein. It's. I do have to ask, did it make you cry? Because everybody fucking apparently cries at games now.
I teared up. I'll admit that I didn't cry. I've played sadder things. It wasn't like Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. When I finished Brothers, I wasn't sobbing, but I didn't want to move. I literally sat and stared at my TV for like 10 minutes. Like, fuck.
I'm reading the quotes here on Steam for it, and like Rock Paper Shotgun said Edith Finch earned every tear, every laugh, and every moment of joy. And it's just saying, like, I'm not taking them. I'm trying not to take them literally, but every time like a game writer says they cried about something, it's like you must be like outright crying.
Well, and it depends on how they're
times a year
using I'll admit too, it's the dumbest thing because I'm like in my day-to-day life, for the most part, sometimes I worry that I don't have enough emotion. Like nothing phases me that way. But I'm the same kind of person that like I've seen the movie like 13 times and I still have a hard time sitting through the opening sequence of Up. And then like sometimes it's even the dumbest movie. I haven't seen this, but I could say it's like Garfield Lost in New York, and they always do the same corny ass like, oh, they're reunited with their owner, and you still get that like little twinge.
Yeah, you get choked up.
Yeah,
and I'm not like, oh, you felt emotion, you big baby, but it's like, to me, the problem is I'm recognizing for what it is, which is just a cheap way to say it's sad.
Yeah.
It's like, I cried, and it's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, no.
Like, let's be real.
I didn't cry, but I'll say there's one part, and it's interesting because a lot of these little vignettes, God, I don't know what to say. I don't want to really spoil anything, but a lot of the vignettes, when you get into them, you'll pretty much immediately know how they're going to end, yet they still make it impactful. It's like, oh, I see where this is going. And then at the end, you're just sitting there like, whoa. And there was a part that you had that like movie theater twin. Like I wasn't sobbing or wiping tears, but you're close. Like, all it would have taken is somebody.
I'm being nitpicky here about other people's writing, but
it does, and it would be reductionist too to boil it down to, oh, this game is like a tear jerker or it's sad. It has that. It is good at evoking emotion. To be honest, what outweighs the like sad parts or those parts are the sense of wonder, and that's where I would compare it to games like Ethan Carter or Brothers, where for me it's like you're in a freaking fairy tale, but in a really cool way, like an adult fairy tale.
I wonder if I'm like dead inside though, because like Brothers was probably like, that ending was probably the most like emotionally like gut punchy ending I've ever played in a game, and it was sad as shit. But I was like, I'm not gonna cry.
You're like, I want some pizza now.
It was kind of like that. Like, I want to tell people about this, but I also want pizza. But it's just that, like, what game could make me cry? Like, I don't.
Well, and I always hate playing this card, but you know what? And it sounds funny too, but we're about 10 years apart. And when I was in my early mid-20s, I was kind of the same way. I mean, you could watch. I remember probably one of the most emotional movies I'd ever gone to at that point was Saving Private Ryan. Yeah, and I obviously didn't feel nothing, but
people are getting fucking mowed down on Normandy.
And that ending, and they're in the cemetery, and you're like, yeah, it's a little sad, and then the credits roll, and you're like, so what do you guys want to eat? Like, right. And then I don't know when it happened. Like, you get older, and it's not even a conscious thing. It's not like, oh, you have kids, so you view the world different. I don't have kids. And I haven't had any, like, knock on wood, I haven't had any significant personal loss that's like one event that's changed my viewpoint on anything. It's just all of a sudden things start to like, I think it's just your like body chemicals, your hormones. Yeah.
And your body's like, I now know pain and loss.
And my ending won't be nearly as meaningful as any of these in this stupid video game.
Yeah, I mean, but sad. Like, it's like you said, like, you get, like, fuck, I remember watching The Mummy Returns and getting choked up. Yeah. And that movie's fucking terrible.
And I get pissed at myself every fucking time because you can see it coming. They're never surprises. You know it's going to happen the moment the movie starts. And it's not even really sad. It's like a stupid, and then it's like part of your brain's just like, ah, fucker, I'm going to make you feel.
And I think that's it. Is like there's so many moments, not just in games, but in everything, where it's like, okay, was I actually really like invested in these characters, or did they do like a fucking like trick
control?
Of, like, did they play the sad music at just the right time? And
one out of there's like 28.7 frames per second in America, in like the movie theater, and like one of those 28 frames for the last 5 minutes is your grandma died. Your grandma died. Your grandma died.
I think it's like you know, did this thing actually make me sad, or did like it just manipulate myself into making me feel sad? Right. You know, like, am I doing this to myself? And if I am, I get fucking annoyed.
Right.
But with games, it's never really, I never really feel like I'm being manipulated to that point. It's just sort of like, oh, well, that's sad. Yeah. Too bad these fictional little clay people are, you know, upset. But and time for pizza.
Regard to Edith Finch, I wouldn't say play it because you're going to have some emotional epiphany, and it's the most like, it'll tug at your heart. I mean, for me it did, but even if it doesn't, it's really damn cool. The stories and the little individual stories, and it does that thing that something like that Dragon Cancer does, where each of the vignettes has almost a whole different like control scheme. Like they all have their own little quirks and mechanics that have to do with what's going on in that story. The difference is, for the most part, they work really well and they're kind of fun to play. They're not like, this blows me away. That's like the coolest thing I've ever seen a developer do. But they fit in a way that makes sense and that's not grueling. And now there's a few kind of exceptions to that. It's not a perfect game. I don't want to say like they didn't do anything wrong and they shouldn't change a thing. But I recommend it. I highly recommend it. I got done with that and I was like, holy shit, I'm mad at myself that I put it off for like 2 months before I finish it, especially since the show's short. You could sit down and just play it one night. Basically, it's more akin to watching a movie than a video game, which is fine in my book. A lot of people bitch about that, but I like that sometimes.
Yeah, and a lot of movies are shit, so if a game does it better, then good on them.
You're paying a lot more than you would to go see a movie, because I think it's $30, but...
Not really. It's What Remains of Edith Finch is $20. You can get a bundle with the soundtrack for $24. Going to the movies, after all said and done, that's probably less than what you're paying.
Well, and to put it, it's a good time to have this show and recommend games, because the Steam Summer Sale, I think, starts tomorrow. It starts very soon, and that's one of those games that I about guarantee will be on sale.
Probably.
So,
and it's a great time to not have money to spare.
Yes. So I enjoyed that. I was happy I finished it. And then the other thing, as soon as I finished that, not like literally the same sitting, but I'm like, okay, now I got to do the other thing I said I was going to do and finish Little Nightmares, because it's longer than 2 hours, but not, it's not a 13-hour game or anything.
Sure.
Fuck, that game's amazing too. And I saw,
maybe you should have finished these things when you started them.
Yeah. And I saw, I think over E3 or maybe just before it, there is going to be DLC for Little Nightmares, which is cool. Yep. Because that game, it's broken up into kind of chapters too. Like it's more like Inside or something, where one area is its own, like has its own theme and challenges, and then you get through and you're on to like the next chapter or next area or whatever. Yeah. But I believe there's only 5, and I'm on like the 4th one now. The one I just finished is the kitchen, and man, it's just so cool how they And we probably talked about it when I started it, but I can't speak for you or other kids, but I know when I was a kid, like a relatively little kid, but old enough to remember it, there was all the sorts of shows that I loved, like Fraggle Rock, which was cool that it got come back a couple years ago and got popular again. But then they had those characters, the Gorgs, and they were technically the bad guys, but they're kind of the oafish bad guys. You know, they were never really meant to be like, you know, they were going to eat the Fraggles if they got them, so yeah, that's not good. But there's just something about those, like, puppets where they've got that real fucking creepy, like, they're cartoon character, well, not cartoon, it's real life puppets, but there's just that, like, inhuman puppet quality to those puppets that, you know, the beady, small, like, lifeless eyes and the exaggerated features, and in the show they're portrayed as being these towering creatures compared to the little Fraggles. And it's just that creepy thing that you get as a little kid where it's like, I loved the show, but every time they came on, it was like you had that apprehension, like, I don't like these guys. And frankly, the entire show of that Disney's Dinosaurs show, I don't know if you ever saw that.
Nope.
I thought it would be before your time. It was a fucking horror show. It's the Five Nights at Freddy's thing, where it's like these animatronic... They're not supposed to be creepy, yet they're creepy as shit. Like, yeah. And so, you know, as a kid, you have those things, and this captures that in a video game form. Basically, it's bringing all your kid nightmares to life, because as a kid, they're these puppets, but they're on TV, or even when you're in real life, you know, it's like the Chuck E. Cheese things. It's like, oh, they might look creepy, but you know they're not going to hurt you. They're inanimate objects, and they're really meant for entertainment. But there's always that, what if they were evil? And this is like, yeah, now they're evil and they're trying to kill you. And you're just this little basically helpless girl in a raincoat. It's not like you can fight or anything. And it just creates such a... Scary is the wrong term. Unsettling is the right one. It's a very unsettling game. But of course, there are points where all of a sudden the thing sees you, and they're kind of these set piece moments, and you're running for your life, and that's terrifying. But you know, my thought, we've talked about Inside. Everybody thinks that's the greatest game ever made, and I liked it, but I didn't think it was the greatest thing ever made. This, I think, would be the better version of Inside. I think Inside probably controlled slightly better, but this one controls very well as well. But I just like the setting.
Well, let me, as the resident Inside lover who does think it's the best thing ever, let me retort that very different. Like they control, like, how you navigate their stories are similar, but they're going for clearly two very different things. And I think visually Little Nightmares is, you know, probably the more impressive game. To me, there's something though that's really special about Inside, and just how contained it is. You know, like this is gonna have DLC, and you know, DLC is always kind of a, even if it's for the best game ever, you're like, you know, who knows how it'll turn out. But to me, there's something comforting about, like, Inside. Like, I have that playthrough, like I have that experience. I know that story. There's nothing. They're not going to be like, now play as a different fucking character and you play in reverse or some shit.
They should have Inside DLC where you're just one of those, like, kind of zombified people towards the end, where you're just, the whole game is literally just standing there and staring out a window.
You didn't get the... Did you get the secret ending in Inside?
I think so. The one where
you go back, like, you have to, you get all the collectible things, and then you have to, like, backtrack to the, like, the room under, like, I think it's the cornfield. Did you get that?
No.
Okay, then just, you know, take your thought and go on YouTube and watch that ending, because then you'll realize you don't need to do that DLC. It's but I mean, I'd probably love Little Nightmares too.
Oh yeah.
I loved Inside a lot also. Yeah. Like, Inside was a different kind of nightmare. Inside was like the type of nightmare, like, if Little Nightmares is the type of nightmare you would have as, like, a kid, like, Inside is the type of nightmare you have now about, like, but, like, in the nightmare you are a kid,
right?
And it's like, but it has like all the sort of like adult themes that terrify us when like after a while it's not like, oh my god, this thing's gonna eat me. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna be fucking just thrown into a factory or a laboratory.
Yeah, at this point in Little Nightmares, there's a lot less left up to the imagination. I mean, because you're going through, you're like, where am I? Why am I here? But it's not like this existential, like, mind-bending thing. It's I'm a little kid running from these giant things that are trying to eat me.
Right. I think there's something to be said about, like, and this isn't me saying, like, once again, I haven't played Little Nightmares. I'm pretty sure I would love it. But it's just how I think it would differentiate from something like Inside. Is like Little Nightmares is about these really clear horrors. Like the who's not afraid to get eaten by a giant thing. Like these immediate
big, like,
sort
grotesque thing. Yeah,
these immediate threats. And while Inside is a very, like, the more you play, as you're playing it, you're thinking about, like, what's my place in the world type shit. Stuff that's, like, terrifying on a more, like, man, I am totally irrelevant in comparison to what's going on here. Like, I'm so small compared to this situation, and, like, you just keep going forward, and then it doesn't end well for you. So it's a terrifying game, I think, in its own right. And it's just so fucking fun to think about. Like, I loved reading, like, Reddit threads about just, like, people like, well, what do you think this meant? And it's like, well, I thought you were just, I thought that was just a monster. Like, no, it's capitalism. It's like, I don't see that connection, but I loved hearing people think about it.
Yeah, I mean, in that regard, it's got a lot in common with the Soul series, or Bloodborne even.
I haven't seen those threads.
Well, just, I mean, from the people sitting around trying to guess what... There's a lot to be said for... I think it gets misused a lot when they're like, oh, it's going to be vague and it's up to you to decide. That can be done really, really poorly, but when it's done well, it is really cool because it evokes a lot of, like, personal meaning. So, and I think that's what Inside, and I think that's why I didn't love Inside. Like I said, I liked it. I thought it was a very good game, but it's kind of what we were just talking about with Edith Finch and the emotional connect. If it doesn't click with you, then, and that just happens sometimes. And it could even be just down to the mood you were in when you played it.
Sure.
I think I remember being kind of bored that night that I played, because I played through Inside in a single sitting, or pretty much. But it was one of those where it's just like, I don't really feel like doing anything. I don't even really feel like playing games, but I should probably play this. Yeah. So it could have been due to that. But
I think for me, like, I was honestly not in the mood for Inside when I started it. Like, I didn't even know that game was out, and then it was out, and everybody was like, oh, you got to play it. And I was like, I don't know if I want, like, an atmospheric, puzzle platformer that's kind of slow. But then, like, after, like the first section of that game, I was hooked. There's something about those games that just immediately click with me, where it's like I immediately am able to, like, put myself in the protagonist's shoes and, like, just get absorbed in these kind of minimalistic worlds they build. So, but that's why I was interested in Little Nightmares, is because it's like they take that formula, but they kind of, rather than go minimalistic, they go with a very stylish, a very unique look, and, like, they flesh out the world in a completely different way.
It's definitely worth playing, at least so far. I mean, it could really, like, any game has that ability. I'm about halfway through to, like, just shit itself, and by the end,
I'd like a game you're playing that you're enjoying to just end like that. You get to the final chapter, character just squats down, shits in his hand, and just throws it at the screen, and then credits.
And then deletes, like, your whole hard drive, just formats your hard drive, just as a kind of like the...
well, now we're talking about Nier.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say, except in real life, like, fuck you.
Yeah. Your computer's now broken.
Yeah. Speaking of fucking, I'm glad that the show seems to be working. I hope I don't... Every, like, other week I go to export to YouTube, and it's like, oh, by the way, we didn't tell you, but the Twitch stream stopped for about 3 seconds 4 times, so now you got a bunch of different segments, like it automatically picks back up. But anyway, yesterday, the other thing I've been playing, I don't really want to talk about the game itself. I think I talked about it a little bit anyway, but it's Black Desert Online. It's the MMO. It's kind of one of those like Korean aimed at internet cafe, like it's almost like a mobile game equivalent where there's so much of it is obviously just to try to get people to sink money into it. And you can see a lot of people, there's a lot of forum threads discussing it, like not necessarily, they like brought it over here to our audience, but they knowing that those techniques wouldn't work over here. But over there, they tend to have a lot of people that are like literally like addicted to that stuff. But they're like, well, we'll let these people play it anyway. But knowing that they're not going to get all the like hardcore, I'm going to dump $1,000 a week into this game. So, I mean, it's from that perspective, it's just not a great game. It's not a horrible game. But I think it's because I'm approaching it from a like, I don't care about leveling up or really doing anything. It's just like it's kind of like my Sims or my Second Life. Like, I'm just going to fire this up when I don't really have anything else to do, and I'll go like chop some wood or fish and build a boat. Yeah. But anyway, on that token, there's like the marketplace in that game. You can buy things from vendors, but certain things you can only get from like either building yourself or buying from other players. And the market is 100% player driven, which is great if you have a huge booming game with a booming economy. And this game does have plenty of people that play it, but it's I'm trying to get a fishing boat, access to a fishing boat, and I've got plenty of money to buy it for what they cost, but they're just never in the auction house because people just buy them. It's just a lot easier than spending 2 days gathering resources and building them. But you can do a thing where
that would be your boat. Then you built it.
Sure, but in order to do that, then I have to play for like another month and a half to get enough resources to get the workers to gather the resources to get it's just a big involved process. But and I already did that with the raft, and I think I've been posting a shitload of screenshots of the game. It's a pretty good looking game graphically. But I built a little raft, and so now I have that, and then I'm getting greedy because the raft, I can go anywhere on it, but it's slow, and I want a fast fishing boat. But so you can go to the market, and it's really nothing in this game. Everything works about as complicated as they could possibly make it. But you can go to the auction house and set a notice so that it sends you an in-game message when somebody puts a fishing boat or whatever item in the market. But when you do that, it gives you the notice that somebody registered it. But when you register an item in the market, it's not like World of Warcraft where you put it in the auction house and immediately it's available. There's a 20-minute delay there. And then after 20, and I think theoretically it's so people can all like get to if you have a notice enough, everybody has a chance to get to an auction house, to make it fair. So you don't have to necessarily sit right next to the auction house all day. So, I mean, there's that, and there's a whole pre-order system that's not clear at all how it works. Even forum discussions, nobody has a single consensus on how stuff works. So that's always a good sign that your game is, user-friendly.
Accessible, yeah.
But last night I decided I had a couple hours before we were going to dinner with some friends. I'm like, I'm going to buy a fucking fishing boat if I have to stand here because I can watch TV.
If I have to stand here for exactly a couple hours before I have to go eat, I swear I'll get a boat.
So I set my notice and I get the pop-up and said, boat's been registered. I'm like, sweet. I'm going to sit here. And 20 minutes go by and it pops up and I place my bid and the whole system itself is confusing as shit. But it looks like I win the bid, and then it flops over, and there's a button. Okay, you won. Do you want to buy this? And I'm like, yes. And I click buy, and nothing happens.
What dick is like, I won the bid, but no.
Nah. Apparently it happens. But so I click yes to buy it, and nothing happens. I'm like, am I doing this wrong? And I click a few other things, and I can like move around the UI, but every time I click buy, nothing happens. And then all of a sudden I get this message, you've been disconnected from server. And the game is, since it's an online game, it's really stupid. When you lose connection to the server, it closes the whole game out. It doesn't just kick you back to the menu. And so that's a process, and the game closes, and I notice my fucking internet connection's down. And yeah, I was so damn pissed because I don't know when this happened either. If it's a setting I can fix, I should probably look into it instead of just screaming about it every time. But when my router and Wi-Fi dies and I have to reset it, I have to restart Windows. Like when the router resets, I can reconnect to my network, but I don't have internet connection until I reset Windows.
That's so weird.
And that's it's like a 10-minute process to reset the modem, and then another like fucking 10 minutes to reset your computer and get everything fired back up. So that took forever, and I get back in the game, and I'm like, well, great, that's never going to happen again. It happens again. It comes up. I don't get as far, but it's like the items on the marketplace, and it's like 1 minute it should be available. I lose my fucking internet connection again. And to make matters worse, I go on Twitter, like I always do, and just bitch about Spectrum, which used to be Time Warner. And I didn't even at them. I think my first tweet did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they respond like, we're sorry you're having problems. If you'd like to DM us your account information, it's like, no. I'm not going to send any information through Twitter.
I want my soapbox, and I want to yell. I don't want to fucking talk to you right now. If I do, I'll call you.
Well, they're very shitty, and they're going to be pointing out how shitty they are, because they wrote back and they're like, oh, DM us your information. We'll be happy to try to help. And I was like, I'd be happy to do that, but I can't keep my fucking internet connection.
Yeah, my internet's down.
And then their response to that was, oh, well, when you get it back up, if you'd like to get a hold of us, we'd be happy to help. It's like, but the fucking problem is it's your internet connection, and it's down. Not right. Yeah. Oh, I was so mad.
Once it's up, I don't need to talk to you anymore.
And to be fair, I'm not 100% sure it's them. My router's getting awful hot because it's summer, and we have a window air conditioner, but we don't have central AC. And so all my electronics are getting really fucking hot right now.
I'm always willing to blame the internet provider, honestly, because I get that shit too. It was like I had a stretch of like 2 weeks where like every night my internet would just go out at 1 a.m., which was when I was usually playing Overwatch just before bed.
Well, and that's why
the worst shit.
Not like that's why I'm very willing to. It's not like this has just happened once and I'm instantly fuck Spectrum. But like I said, we were having problems with our. I know last week the disconnections with our podcast was on my end because ours has been doing that, and it's some nights it's worse than others. But yesterday we were also having a little funkiness with our TV where it would like freeze or the DVR would stop working. So that has nothing to do with the router. My TV's not through my router. It's the cable. There's something there with the cable signal. So anyway, that made me mad. It's a little bit game related, but it was more I was so pissed at Spectrum, and then their response, I'm like, and I also hate the patronizing. If you like to DM, I'm like, if I'm having like at this point, it's a really frustrating problem. Am I gonna bitch about it? But it's not catastrophic. When it gets that bad, I'll fucking call you, even though I hate calling people.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like tweet back and forth with like.
Well, how the fuck are you supposed to diagnose internet problems through Twitter? Because again, they're internet problems.
Is link me to your troubleshoot page,
which literally all it says is unplug your modem and plug it back in. It's like,
yeah. After that, I need to fucking have somebody come over,
right?
And that's always like, if I. Hell, I'll fucking go days without internet before I let someone come to my house.
Right.
Like it's like, well, fuck it. I guess we're cavemen now. And then eventually it's like, well,
they need to be able to come into your house. I'm like, why? I guarantee you nothing in my house has changed. We haven't moved cables. Nothing's cut a cable. Everything's fine with the cables in the house.
My thing is like, if I let you in my house, I better not have internet problems for a year. Like,
at least,
it never works out that way. But it's just like, that's my reasoning is like, if you're personally going to get into my shit and like dig with the wires and all that stuff and go through it, then, well, Mr. Expert, this should be the last I see of you.
If you make me put on pants, damn it.
Right. If I have to turn my head to see what you're doing, then like, you're already getting more commitment out of me than I want to give.
Just push the button. And I know you guys got a button to fix it. Just push it.
Yeah. Well, you have a switch, right? Flip your switch. And like that's how I always think of shit. Like it's always the most like somebody there is just fucking with me and they hit the turn off Matlock's internet button.
Right. It's like, I know what you did there. Turn it. But
it's like you're fucking with me, and I'm paying you $200. I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's funny. The tweet they responded to wasn't I did add them on one, but it just said like I lost this auction thanks Spectrum or something like that. And I never do the Spectrum help because cable companies are infuriating to find a main fucking account for anything. It's like, oh, here's ask Spectrum. I'm like, I don't want to ask you anything. I want to cuss at you.
Yeah, and their Ask Spectrum account is like, what's the best thing about Spectrum? Like, we answer those questions. You want to talk to Tech Spectrum.
Yeah.
You know.
But you got Tech Spectrum Southwest 2 Region 37.
Yeah.
You need...
Yeah, you want Central Region.
But
which is... But not South Central Region. That's a completely different.
But I'd like to give Spectrum an award personally for somehow being shittier than Time Warner. I didn't think that was possible. But
they are Time Warner.
Well,
like it's like don't talk about them like they're like a different.
Well, but here's what they did that Time Warner never did to us. It's like the same hardware and the same people, the same bill. But as soon as Spectrum took over, we got because they know that 9 out of 10 people know shit about shit. But we get this little letter in the mail like, congratulations, Time Warner is now Spectrum. Your internet service has been upgraded at no charge. It's now faster. And I'm like, no, it's not. I can measure this shit. I'm not stupid. Yeah. And it's like, well, I do also have the highest package that I can buy in my area, so they can't physically make it faster. It's like, but they didn't lower my bill either. So... like, what's this bullshit fake advertising? You know, how many people are getting that? Like, it's cool, we have faster internet. It's like, no, you don't. They didn't do shit.
Yeah,
like,
you got a new sticker.
Yeah. On your if anything, our internet's been slower. I attribute that to probably... I think I've talked about it on the show, but they just took the little tiny jail that's like a block and a half away from our house and turned it into a full-size huge jail. And it's like, well, they're probably taking all the damn bandwidth. Fucking police. Blame everything on the police officers. Yeah. But...
Blue Lives took my internet.
Yeah. Blue data doesn't matter.
Yeah. But you know what stops crime? Internet. Get people on the fucking internet, man.
If I'm at home playing Black Desert Online, I'm not out there committing crimes. It's a fact.
That's true. Yeah.
I might be in here committing cyber crimes, but...
moral crimes.
Yeah, who does that really hurt in the end? But
everyone playing Black Desert Online.
But to make it clear, I'm not recommending that game. I admit that I'm playing it, but I don't know. Yeah. Oh, that fish costume was great, but it expired. Fuckers.
How the fuck do costumes expire?
Because they want you to buy them. I can buy it with real money, but I'm not going to do that.
How the fuck are you playing that game?
I don't know.
That.
It's like I say, I don't recommend playing it, but what it does do is it lets me pursue like all the stupid little side, like I can become a fishmonger or a weapon crafter without having to actually play this crappy ass game for the most part. Like every now and then you have to do a quest just to get a resource or something, but whatever.
Man. I almost want to say we need to get you an actual MMO because you're starting to accept.
Well, that's why I like it, because I want an MMO, but something like... Because I've been tempted for Final Fantasy XIV or Elder Scrolls Online for a long time, but those would be dangerous in that, like, this I can play and not give a shit. Those, I'd be like, well, say bye to Steve. We're not going to see him anymore. Like, you sucked back into him.
You won't do that.
I wouldn't, because my life situation's totally different than it was when I played WoW. Yeah. And even then, I didn't let it dominate. I wasn't one of those people that was like... Oh, I called off work to stay home and raid. Wow, but...
Yeah. To me, though, this is like watching like an alcoholic drink O'Doul's or one of those like non-alcoholic beers, and it's just like, just stop. Like,
yeah. It's just as good. It's got all the flavor, but it's not alcoholic.
Well, what I learned is I didn't give a shit about the buzz. It's just the habit of having a beer in my hand. Yeah. It's never about the habit. It's always about the buzz.
Yeah, because that's always followed with, oh, by the way, I do heroin now.
Oh, yeah. By the way, you guys want a bump?
Right.
You know, my sponsor said replace one addiction with the other, and he knew a guy who knew a guy, so we got some snort skis.
Man, wouldn't that be a sweet position to be in if you were a dealer, or just got kickbacks from it? Better to get kickbacks from a dealer, because that's harder to, like, lock you up for. But you're just an AA, and you're like, I'm helping you. Hey, dude, you know where you get some stuff?
That was basically a Breaking Bad storyline.
Oh, well, there you go. So,
it was very successful.
Yeah, sounds like it would be. That's like the Girl Scouts selling cookies outside the legalized pot dealers. When those stories started cropping up when that stuff first passed, and your neck of the woods in Colorado. It's like, yeah. And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh. It's like, that girl is a genius. We should have elected her president.
Well, the weird thing about Girl Scouts is, like, here in my town, they all, they always sell outside grocery stores. And it's like, I just came from a fucking grocery store. I already bought cookies.
That's the dumb thing, is they typically hit you up on your way out. It's like, see, A, I don't have any money left, and B, I've got cookies right here.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Thin Mints are really great cookies. It's just, I'm not paying you that. That's too much for a little tiny box of fucking Thin Mints.
Thin Mints, Lemmings. They're okay, but I think they changed the name. They used to be called, fuck, I don't even know what they're called. The coconut things with like
but they're so good.
The caramel and the coconut and the chocolate and the
fuck that. Coconut can fuck off, man. It's not even a food.
That's like 50% of why I like those, because my wife hates coconut too. So if we get those, although she will eat those, but she just doesn't love them like I do. So if we get a box of those, I know that's like, this is my box.
Coconut's like, when they put it on like cookies and shit and like cakes or pies or something, it's just like, it's all shedded and stuff. It's like nature's dandruff, like ruining desserts. I fucking hate coconut so much.
It can go wrong. I like it in the right application. Toasted is way better for one, but whatever. Yeah, a lot of people share your sentiment with coconut.
Yeah, and it's the right sentiment. I'm not for wiping out any form of life on this planet except coconut. Drop a bomb on every tropical island until it's all gone. You
killed a guy or knocked out a guy in Hitman with a coconut, though, didn't you?
Yes, that's what I said. It's not a food. It's a weapon. If we used it like that, it should be a war crime.
So what's the over under on Hitman showing up on Kickstarter within the next, let's say, 16 months?
You know what? I'm gonna. I mean, I can't actually. I don't know anything about gambling, so I can give you a real number, but I'm going to say it's not going to get a Kickstarter.
If you want me to be completely honest, I've never had a clear concept on what an over-under is in gambling. They talk about it all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, that's a gambling term. That's why I threw it out there. But yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that to be cynical or anything. I think it's really cool that IO was able to retain rights and continue to make the game. I missed what they announced, because when they announced that a couple days ago, they're like, oh, and tomorrow we'll have more to say about the existing IP, and I didn't hear anybody talk about that, so I don't know.
Yeah. I honestly think they'll do a season 2. I think they'll find a publisher. I think it was one of those things where it was like, look, like I think probably, Square Enix was, probably went into it as much as you can like dismiss a studio in good faith. The way it came across was like, we really didn't want to do it to these guys because they worked hard on Hitman and shit.
But it's just not the direction that they're going.
Yeah,
it's not you, it's us type of deal.
That type of deal. But I don't know what the fuck shenanigans they pulled, honestly, to keep the IP. But once they have it, I'm sure some publisher is going to see, like, how well that first season did, and like, yeah, we'll fucking do a deal with you for season 2.
Telltale's Hitman season 2.
Telltale. They would fuck it up. Telltale
they wouldn't have anything to do with it other than publishing it, but
they would fuck it up. They'd be like, yo, you need zombies.
It needs a moral branching dialogue system.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that, like, at least the hope for a season 2 is kept alive. If it goes Kickstarter, I'll start to get nervous, because I am pretty confident that they could probably find a publishing deal to do, even if they don't do like a season 2, if they just did like a full game,
right?
And just called the whole thing episode 2 or whatever, like, then like they would be fine. But if it goes Kickstarter, that's when you get into like, oh shit, it's like this might go Mighty Number 9 all over us.
Yeah, because it is a game that seems like it requires quite a bit of production. Like,
yeah. What was interesting though is the way they were talking about it when they got the rights was like, it almost came across like we're not done with season 1 yet. Like, we're gonna add some more stuff to season 1, And
hopefully it's not an ending. We get one more episode and he dies at the end, and it's like, there we go. It's like,
there we go. No, season 2. No, but maybe that's like a thing where they, made some deal with Square where it's just like, you still get a cut from any content we continue to make for this, and like you're still attached, but we own the IP now. Yeah. So good for them, I guess.
Yeah. I'm excited, and I know it's on sale right now. Yeah, I should buy it, but I'm holding off. It's on sale on PS4 right now, and I have a feeling it'll be on a pretty good sale on Steam too, and I think I'd rather have it on Steam.
It runs better on PC. You can play the first episode, the tutorial in the first episode, which is Paris. You can play that for free now. That's like the demo for it. Yeah.
And it's funny because I haven't, because it's like I don't need to know I want to buy this. I already know I want to buy this. So it's more a matter of having the time and the money at the same, like, meeting up. It actually
is on sale on Steam right now. They don't do the individual episodes anymore. It's all one thing, but it's $23.73 right now.
Thought I had it in my wish list, so that should have given me unless I just hit today and I haven't. Steam loves sending you emails when stuff on your wish list goes on sale, which is every fucking day.
Yeah. But it's a fucking fantastic game. I had so much fun playing that. And streaming it and getting content. Like, Mark's like, this isn't your content, right? Shit from YouTube, and it's like, I'm not there's no financial stuff.
I haven't,
like, right. I'm not running ads on it and pocketing the money. So it's like, it's this weird thing where it's like, well, okay, well, we have to run ads on it for them because it's their game. It's like, that's fine, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But
some people get really pissed about that, but we don't get the kind of views where it would matter anyway. It's like, I'm going to monetize this and get $1. No, $1 is like lofty thinking.
Even then, like, it's kind of an interesting thing right now where it's happening a lot with like streamers and YouTubers and stuff where it's like, our monetization is it's being taken away from us, and it's like, we need your support now on Patreon more than ever. Then you look at their Patreon, it's like, you're getting fucking $10K a month. That shit gets taxed and stuff, but that is
that's still like 3 times what I make before tax, at least.
Yeah, for shit that most of these people did for free for years until they blew up. Where it's like the content didn't get that much better. It's still like assholes in their bedroom, like, ranting about shit. Yeah,
I know. Like, we've talked about that whole culture. Just eludes me. I don't understand it. I don't understand what makes a popular streamer popular compared to somebody that, to me, you watch the two people and like, they could be like Siamese. No, I guess not Siamese twins. They'd be attached, but they could be identical twins. And I'm like, why is this person popular and this one's not? And there's a lot of people that get like, they have like, we're up to 40 followers. Thanks everybody. And they're really, really good.
Right.
And then the ones that are making, like you said, $10K a month, I watch and I'm like, I want to punch this person in the face. And I'm kind of a pacifist.
They don't even have fucking content. Like, it's just a stream where like they play the game and then like all these donation robot voices pop up and that's the stream.
Right.
But and it's not like,
and I'm not criticizing. I'm not saying they shouldn't or anything. I just don't get it. I don't understand.
I applaud anyone who can fucking make bank pretty much anyway on
as long as it's not underhanded or criminal. Like, you're not.
Yeah, as long as you're not fucking hurting anybody.
Yeah, like if I start, Steve's cancer fund, and it's I don't applaud that. That's
if
shit.
If you're lucky enough to have like accrued an audience that can financially support you, then like you're living the dream. If it's like some combination of donations, advertising, go for it. Or if it's just like donations, I don't even have a problem with that. It's when like, I lost all my ad money. You guys, you have to make up for that, or I'm going to have to stop making content forever. It is like, shut the fuck. Like, because they're already donating to you. Yeah. You're just trying to do like a guilt trip thing to like, because your advertising dollars went down.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I used to make 50,000 a month, and now I don't. And of course, very few people on the internet make that, but those are the ones that tend to be the ones complaining the most. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't buy a new house every month anymore. Like,
yeah, it's like you got a house bigger than most people's houses, and you never had to leave your house.
You've noticed that applies to a lot of way outside of the internet realm. Just the more people have in their life, like the more better off they are than other people, the whinier they get about everything.
And that's kind of the climate of our country.
And obviously, I don't mean every single person that's fortunate or rich or whatever is like that, but it just as its tendency. It's
as a tendency, the loudest, whiniest people are usually the people who are not in desperate need.
Right.
And it's very weird. Because it's like, man, I wish I had heard like more about like the GoFundMes or whatever that were about like, hey, this person is dying. They need help. Like I see a couple of those, every couple of weeks, but it's like I see the fucking like YouTube's hurting my ad dollars. I need to like I get that shit every day on social media, and it's like,
well,
you're still fine.
National health policy is being shaped by these people that are like, oh no. Well, this hurts I pay 1% more tax than I used to, and I can only have 13 yachts. And yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, the more you have, the more it's like the most grievous personal slight if your income comes down slightly.
Sure. But it's like, it's not even to get into that. It's just this disconnect of like priorities and stuff where like there's a couple YouTubers I follow, like a lot of like these horror narration channels and like, not to, degrade what they do, but they don't write the stories. So they're just narrators, but I find their content entertaining, and they kind of are a lot more humble about sort of like, yeah, YouTube's kind of hit us hard. So if you guys could go to my Patreon and, support that in any way, that would be really appreciated. And it's really brief notes like that. If that's all you're saying,
that's perfectly fine because people.
It's when you're saying like, I might have to stop making all this great content because I just can't afford to live if you guys don't knock that $5 a month donation up to 10. Yeah. It's like, fuck off with that shit. You are fine.
Yeah, and the other thing is a lot of those people seem more than happy to be like, oh, this happened and you need to give me more money so I can stick around, but they don't do anything to like up their value. It's not like they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to double my content if you guys can, kick some more bucks. Man, it's just like,
yeah. There's very rare of that.
I have very little tolerance for people, companies or individuals that are being hurt. Newspapers, I fucking bitch about newspapers all the time because they're like, oh, the internet's killing print news. It's like, adapt. Fuckers. Yeah. Like, stop telling me I need to pay you money because you're dying when you refuse to do anything but slap more ads on your articles. Like,
that shit is so fucking frustrating because it's not like the internet's a new thing anymore. Like, you don't act like you didn't get the heads up.
And it's not our responsibility to make sure your current business model is one that lasts forever. Like,
right. Oh, yeah. And if you follow the fucking news and you see what great shenanigans journalists get up to, you won't be surprised that people don't support your newspaper because not only does your business model suck, but you lost all your credibility.
Right. So, I mean, our local paper, I'll tell them that every now and it's like a couple times a year they're in the grocery store trying to drum up subscriptions and they're like, oh, do you subscribe to us? I say, no, your paper sucks. I've said, and I kind of feel bad because I know the people in there drumming it up are just like, they don't even really work for the paper. They're like a company that they bring in.
Yeah. Some temp job or some shit.
Right, but it's like I've purposely don't subscribe to your paper because it's awful. You get facts wrong. Now, our local paper is not like the national story where it's like, oh, they're underhanded and they lie and they're biased. It's just
they're just bad.
Right.
They're just bad.
And in fairness, I'll admit a lot of it has to do with the fact that they don't have a ton of money to work with anymore. They've got like literally like 2 reporters and photographers now write news articles. And it's like, and I get it because your money dwindled, but your money dwindled in the first place because you were bad, and it snowballed. And I'm sorry, but now you're kind of where you're at. Like, it's not my responsibility to dig you out of the hole you dug. Adapt. Yeah. So anyway, that's a weird tangent, but you're right. Hitman. I wasn't downing you because I could tell you were looking at it, but Hitman is on sale on Steam for a very good discount, 66% off. I might have to jump on that, but it's weird because I was like, okay, well, let me check my wish list
tomorrow. You know.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If summer sale starts, I think tomorrow. I haven't actually read. I know
it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay, poor.
Yeah.
That's the impression I got at work today was fucking ridiculous. But anyway, my advice to anybody is the second you sniff a Steam sale coming, don't buy anything.
Yeah.
Now that sucks for the developers. I know developers are very bitter about all the Steam sales because it means less money for them. But hey, we have all got a limited income and games.
Yeah, I mean, I am broke now. I am broke now just in time for the Steam sale. Let me be the example of what not to do. I bought all my games full price. So now I don't have money when the Steam sale comes around.
Yeah. So. But have you seen that it just came out I think yesterday, Next Machina? It's like
Next Machina, I think.
Machina. I always pronounce it Machina because that's what it looks like in my but you're right, as Machina is how everybody actually pronounces it. I hadn't heard of it until it hit, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, this is really cool, and I looked at it and I'm like, that's right up my alley. So it's on my wish list now.
I heard people were pretty big on it. I didn't want, like, it's doing nothing for me just because I just don't feel like an arcade twin stick shooter. But this, Housemarque is, they're pretty good at, like, taking a simple idea like that and, like, turning it into a real fucking spectacle.
Resogun, is that their other big one? Yeah. And I know people, I don't know much about the game other than it's, like, kind of that shootery, shmuppy thing. But I know people loved it.
Yeah.
Wasn't that one of the original, like, the PlayStation 4 launch titles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of... And they were also the people who did Outland, and that's why Outland was free for a while, because they were trying to promote...
I haven't played that yet. I did grab it when it was free, but I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I still need to, but it seemed cool. It seemed like they were kind of combining, like, platforming with, like, Ikaruga type stuff, like polarity stuff to avoid damage. So it seemed pretty cool. Anything else? I did want to talk about it, that Unruly Heroes trailer, because we didn't talk about it during our E3 show. If you haven't seen that trailer for Unruly Heroes, I linked it on Twitter, but look it up. It's kind of a
really, really cool.
Like, it's a kind of a mesh of, like, Rayman in terms of, like, platforming and art style meets, like, a Journey to the West or, like, type of action game. But you can tell, like, they took a lot of that sort of Rayman foundation, like modern Rayman foundation, and did something really cool with it. Like, the artwork is just, it's amazing.
It looks hand drawn. I can tell, like, in certain motions that it's not like frame by frame hand drawn like a Battle Chef or Cuphead, but it's got that style. You could tell it was originally hand drawn, and then they used some animation tricks to animate it. But it looks good from that perspective, and it just looks good from a fun perspective. It's kind of a, like, son of a bitch. Well, I guess I don't know. It probably doesn't come out for a while though. Did it give a release date?
It's a 2018.
Good. Only good from the perspective of I've got a couple. Dead Cells is still on my. That's one that I hope goes on sale on Steam because I want to pick that up. And I think there's another platformy game like that. Well, and of course Little Nightmares, but I'll be done with that in another sitting or two. And that's a different kind of platformy. But I like to jump around from, like, even the, like, genre to just so you don't get burnt out on any one style.
Right now it's like Dead Cells, Hollow Knight, and Flint Hook. Like, if I had money, I'd be, like, eyeing those games like a hawk for the Steam sale, because those are, like, Hollow Knight is like everyone who plays it says it's fucking incredible.
It's funny though, because it came out and everybody's like, this looks great, and it came out and then people didn't really, I don't know if it was a victim of like something else launching alongside it.
I think it's just that thing, like all these games kind of came out the same time, not Dead Cells necessarily, but like Flint Hook and like there's just a ton of shit I had to add to my wish list around April.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy. And Dead Cells, that's been a little bit louder, where it's just been like everybody's like, this is really, really cool. And it looks great, and I can't wait to play it. It's still in early access, which surprises me because people are just like, no, just get it, because it's really good.
And Dead Cells is on sale already because it's that kind of like launch sale thing. I think it still was. I want to say it was.
I don't think so. I mean, they're not showing any discount on it. It looks like it's just $17 right now.
I'm thinking of, when we were just talking about Next Machina is $15. So though I thought about it after we finished our last show, because I don't think I've talked about it, but I did play a couple weeks ago, and I haven't finished it, but I played through a good deal of it. Super Hot, which you were nice enough to buy for me or provide for me back around Christmas.
I bought it.
Well, good. You should have spent money on it. I didn't know if you had like an extra copy from a Humble Bundle.
I know a guy
or something.
Yeah. Just get in touch with Mark. He'll hook you up with Super Hot.
Well, thank you again. It's really cool, but I didn't think I talked about it because I'd kind of forgotten I had it because it was one of those like the same with Darkest Dungeon.
I just noticed on the store page that like normally it says like this person also owns this game. I was like, I know I gave that to Steve.
Yeah, and you mentioned something. I'm like, I probably should play that. I mean, he was nice enough to get it for me, and I wanted to play it. I mean, it's just one of those I've been playing. I think at that point I was finishing up Dark Souls and then Bloodborne and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and it's really cool. It's really fucking frustrating sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's I streamed my entire like initial playthrough with it, and there was a lot of like, fuck, god damn it, what?
And there's like, a lot of times where like the bullet seems to like hit a wall that it doesn't look like it should hit, like not super glitchy, but like it's not always 100% clear like why a shot didn't work or something. But not to the point where I'd be like, oh, this game's a mess. But man, it can make you mad.
Sure.
But it's such a cool idea, and it's such a fun execution of it. So yeah, I really liked what I said.
I would really like to play the VR game they made, because it's I heard like that type of game is really crazy when like taken to VR. So
I imagine, because I wonder if it like as you move your head to look if the time moves. Like I mean it fits and the visuals fit. It wouldn't be that thing where it's like, oh, this is supposed to be like I'm supposed to be lost in this world, but now it's VR and it's like overly apparent that it's a video game. Like it's got the like very polygonal, like they're going for like what VR was portrayed as in the 80s, basically. Look. But no, and it's just such a cool. Obviously, lots of games play with time mechanics, but I've never seen one do it that way, and it's a really neat wrinkle. You couldn't have a 30-hour game out of it, but and there's nothing more satisfying than like throwing a can at somebody's face, grabbing the gun in the air, popping like 3 people, and then throwing the now empty gun back at the original person you stole it from, and then punching him to death while he's staggered. Like when you pull off some of those really wild chains, it's just really cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of why the VR intrigues me, is like because so many shooters in VR, it's just the same sort of clumsy, like you're
it's Time Crisis. It's like the old like arcade where you're just shooting at targets on screen.
Pretty much. And in this, it's like you have one bullet, and then you can throw the gun, but then you have to get something else to throw at them. And it's like, that's a lot more engaging for somebody to like try to navigate in a virtual, headspace. It's a pretty cool game regardless, but like I was pretty like when they were like, yeah, Super Hot VR, I was like, that is the most like natural fit I think I've heard for VR so far.
Oh god, that just reminds me that we talked about it last week, but that Moss, something, I think it's just called Moss, that PlayStation VR game with a mouse. But it like opens with a like a book, like opening and doing that like movie thing where it's like, oh, opens the book, now the illustrations, like it zooms in and that becomes the. But for a second, I thought they were announcing Wonder Book VR.
Yeah,
and I was gonna laugh so damn hard. That's the thing that never really became a thing.
And it shouldn't have. No. It was a dumb idea.
Especially they had to know at that point that VR was coming down the pipes too, because they had to have already been working at it.
I don't think either of them at that time really knew. Like that's the weird thing is like Nintendo's always like kind of, in terms of like developer support and stuff, they're always a step behind Sony and Microsoft, it seems like. But it seems like anytime Nintendo does something, Microsoft and Sony are always like following their lead. So it was like, that was around the time where it's like, oh, the Wii, motion controls. These are this is the thing. And then like Sony made their like goddamn lollipop controllers, and they were like, well, we got to sell it with something, we can't just do PS3 sports. Even though that would have been probably way better. And so you get weird shit like the Wonder Book. You get the whole fucking thing with the Kinect, which is just, I still want to slap the person who came up with the Kinect as a way to like navigate anything. It's genuinely upsetting when I look back at all the great games on my 360 and they all have that stupid purple bar on them, like made better with Kinect.
It literally even made the box art worse because you had that purple bar.
You just had a purple line, and it's like, this is Mass Effect 3. Fuck off. Like, leave my games alone. Like they are just fine without me like having to do like this shit.
Right. But you can wave at the screen and it'll sign you into your profile.
Sometimes, if it felt like it.
Right.
I'm so glad I never bought one of those. Like, my friend had one, and like it came with his system, but like just so many like times like it wasn't to like show it off. Like, I think it probably genuinely worked better when my friend was just by himself. But he would try to do like those sign-in things and like those gestures and stuff, and it just like it never like worked right away.
I had the same experience with the first friend I had that bought an Xbox One, where we're over there. It's like, oh, watch what it can do, and that kind of stuff happens to me all the time too. So it makes it extra funny when it happens to somebody else. You look like the asshole that's like, look, you can just wave. You can just wave. Just wave.
Just wave. I'm just
fucking waving. Xbox will sign in. Turn on. Fucking do something, and it just
Yeah.
And I mean, they're neat little parlor tricks, but it was funny because they presented them like they were going to be the reason you buy one of those systems.
Well, it was just like emotion. Like it was like these people never played the Wii, because anyone who played the Wii could have been like, it's, if the game's simple, it works. If it's using the motion controls really simply, like it'll be fine. But it's when like it's trying to do something precise that it never works. And like somehow Sony and Microsoft saw that and said like, let's make trickier hardware with even more demanding like game requirements to like, so like the Kinect, it's like you couldn't be further from 1-to-1 response time with that thing, and that was how like they thought that was going to just be a platform for them. Like it was like the future of motion controls. They were right in that motion controls are mostly dead.
Yeah. It was the future. It was just a very brief future.
The only motion controls that are still there are like gyro stuff, and that's honestly, I could have told you with the 3DS, that's the only shit worth keeping, because it's
I still don't really like it. Like,
it's, I think time with like a Zelda game would change your mind on that, because aiming the bow and arrow with gyro controls is a lot better than like trying to use a second analog stick, and that's true in up to Breath of the Wild. It's just easier to kind of do a quick little tweak left with the whole controller. And
yeah, but I'm always like lounging and sitting at weird like angles on my couch, and then I end up having to
I mean,
to keep it level. Then my hands end up being it
doesn't have to be level. It's always based off how you're holding it. Like, because it only activates that stuff if you're trying to aim at something. But it does lead to fun things where, like, you have these puzzles where, like, you can rotate the controller to rotate platforms to move a ball on it. And other people, I didn't figure this out because I was trying to do it the quote correct way. But other people found out, like, instead of navigating the ball through this maze where it could fall off, if you flip the whole controller upside down, it flips the entire platform upside down, and then it's just an even platform, and the ball will drop on it and go where you want it to go. And it's like, that's like shit like that, I think is really cool.
And that had to be in there, even if it wasn't intentional at first. They're like, we're keeping this in there. Like, that's a...
Yeah, somebody was like, well, should we let them do that? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of their design philosophy with those kind of things, is let the players play. Like, it's a player if they can find a way to do that.
If they find an exploit, for sure.
I do remember seeing somebody talk about how they got the ball to the edge of one of those mazes and then just like flipped it real hard and like threw the ball or something.
Yeah, you have to do that a couple of times, and you can put a lot into that flip. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. So
One was a really good game.
I've been very tempted, especially after Nintendo's Direct last week, whatever the E3 one was. Like, literally that day, I almost left work and went and bought a Switch.
I really want one. Yeah. That's kind of my goal. If I could get one around the holidays, that would be probably. That would probably be the earliest I would be able to get one, but it's it's also kind of my goal.
Yeah.
Because I really want to play Mario Odyssey. I want to play that Mario Rabbids game.
Some people want to climb Mount Everest. Others just want to Switch for Christmas.
Yeah, I just want to see Mario with a living hat.
Yes.
And to possess people. What a fucking weird game.
It looks awesome though.
Yeah. But it's so fucking like the moral questions, and it was really funny. I think it was Giant Bomb. I want to say it was Jeff Gerstmann, and he was it might not have been him, but it was somebody from Giant Bomb was saying like we were talking to them about it and asking him, we were asking why doesn't Mario look like humans in New Donk City? Like, why do they look completely different, but they're both humans? And like the fucking people at Nintendo just sort of like stared at him, like
like it's the dumbest question you could possibly ask.
And it's like a dumb question, but it's also like that's the most important question. Also, I think I've ever heard about Mario.
Well, sure.
Like, why does he? Because now you've shown real humans in the Mario universe. Before you could be like, oh, it's stylized. Now there's something seriously wrong physically with Mario. Like he's like
had some like serious birth defects. Yeah.
Something's up. Like he's round as shit and like with stumpy legs, but he can jump like the height of like a small house. I don't know, but that game looks really cool.
It would have been interesting though for the civilians or just the random people to look, because we don't really get Mario games where there's other Mario human characters other than the main cast. So if there was just like generic Mario stylized people, that would have been interesting. But I do think like in the long run, it's more interesting to just have this unexplained disconnect. And then whoever with a straight face said, we're going to call it New Donk City. Like,
what's kind of interesting is that from what I heard, it's like New Donk City is like where the original Donkey Kong took place. Like with Mario's first appearance, and like, I forgot her name, which is, great gamer cred for me right now. But, like before Peach, it was like, who was it? Paula. Pauline or something like that. The girl you save it's not Peach.
Pauline. And she's like the mayor.
Yeah. And like that's fucking like the fact that they're not only are they acknowledging it, like they're putting it in a Mario game. Like that's so crazy to me. And like, and all the other stuff, like all the other levels and stuff look like great Mario, levels. But
that's the thing I think a lot of us were worried about is when they first teased it and we saw that city. I thought the whole game was going to, and I thought the whole game was going to take place in like this realistic world with skyscrapers and normal looking humans alongside Mario. And I think if that was the whole game world, that would be off-putting. But for it to just be this random, like, here's New Donk City with these like businessmen, but then you still have the like very Mario like snow worlds and stuff. It's like, okay, I can do it.
I think I wasn't really worried about that because like they showed enough when they revealed the game that like, okay, you won't just be there. But I think what makes me more nervous is when I hear people say like, yeah, this is more on the side of Mario 64. And I've talked about it. I know people, like, to them that game is like a holy grail. It's sacred. I fucking hate playing Mario 64. So it's just...
But you gotta.
My hope is
you gotta think that they've learned in a like intermittent 20 years, right?
But it's just like you get nervous, because Mario never seems to like. Besides like Galaxy 1 and 2, like 3D Mario games, like he never controls exactly the same, so you never know like what they're gonna tweak, and it's just like well, like something as simple as like, oh, we added a little bit more animation to like the crouch or something. Like shit like that can just fuck me up. And it's not like a flaw in the game. It's just like me as a player. Like there's something about like how Mario games control that is always inconsistent to me. Whereas like 64, like even at the time, like I respected it because it was like the first real attempt at a 3D platformer. And it was this really like radical idea to like take Mario and put him in that type of game. But even at the time, I was like, this is unplayable for me. Like, I hate how this controls so much. And then Mario Sunshine was a little better. Like, they gave you a water jetpack, which helped. But there was something still kind of deliberate about everything you did with Mario that made it kind of awkward to me. And then Mario Galaxy was a lot more kind of streamlined, I thought, and played a lot. Like, that was the 3D Mario game I always wanted. And then Galaxy 2 brought in Yoshi, and fuck that. It shat on everything I believed. So yeah, and now we're, this is like really kind of the, like there's 3D World and stuff, but those were different games. So now, they're trying something, once again, they're trying something new, which is good. It's what people want. But it always makes me a little bit nervous, but I'm still totally excited to try it. So. Like any good podcast, we talk about Mario.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's legally required.
Yeah, at least 20 minutes about Mario per gaming show. Checks in the mail. So. Well, that's probably the show for today.
Yeah.
Probably good.
We'll probably have more stuff next week. I don't know.
No, who knows? In these wild times,
maybe not.
Enjoy the Steam sale. Get yourself something weird and cheap.
Go get yourself something nice. You deserve it.
You deserve it. A little thank you from you to you.